Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted that you are part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, wherever you find your podcast. Our guests today are husband and wife team, Deirdre Breakenridge Skrabola and her husband, Mark Skrabola. Before we invite Deirdre and Mark in, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by Bradley's Dragon, a certified great read written by Patrick Matthews. This book is a fantastic book. Our panel loved it. Set in a Florida trailer park, this middle-grade fantasy adventures follows a young boy named Bradley Nash whose world turns upside down on his 12th birthday. One of our reviewers said, "This book is seriously awesome. I could barely put it down. Great characters, good plotline, enough depth and breadth to really get into it. And finally, a tale told fully that will have you biting your nails and turning pages as fast as you can." It's a fantastic book, and we are so proud that it is one of our certified great reads. Patrick Matthews, Bradley's Dragon. It is available on Amazon and also by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the bookstore link at the top of the page. That's Bradley's Dragon by Patrick Matthews. I'm really excited today. We're welcoming two amazing authors, husband and wife team from Central New Jersey. And one of our guests is also the host of a very popular podcast. Please welcome to the show the authors of A Whisper From Noelle, Deirdre Breakenridge Skrabola and Mark Skrabola. Mark, Deirdre, how are you?
Doing well, Jed. Thank you so much for having us on your show.
Yes, hi, Jeb. Thank you so much.
We're really happy to have you on. Deirdre, can you tell us a little quickly about what A Whisper From Noelle is all about?
Oh, yes. So thank you. So A Whisper from Noelle is about a little girl. Her name is Ashley Ann, and she receives a very special visit from an angel who shares with her a series of whispers. And the angel's name is Noelle, and Ashley Ann shares with her mom that these whispers talk about feelings and what it means to feel and how to find compassion and love and caring and kindness and what it means to be true to yourself and to be truthful. And these are just lessons and values. What should start in the home, feelings and exploring feelings with your children.
I agree. I absolutely agree. My wife is in her 33rd year of teaching, and one of the things that is frustrating for her is, when she started teaching, it was all about teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and there's been so much more put on teachers, a lot of it that had always been done in the home, and I think that's done better in the home. Mark, what was the inspiration for creating A Whisper from Noelle?
Yeah, wow. So our daughter Noelle passed away in 2018, and I was always looking for a way to honor my daughter. She was a very giving person, and she's done so much with. She was so into mindfulness, and she was so into her university where she went to the College of New Jersey, and spent a lot of time working with kids and running the Active Minds group there at TCNJ. And I couldn't really think of anything at the time. And then recently this year, my father passed away, and it brought back memories of him spending so much time with Noelle and the other kids reading. And I remember a time when I went into the room and they were both sleeping because he read to her all night and she wanted to continue reading. So we just felt it was just a great way to bring people together and also to honor Noelle for all she, because she's always caring. And this book really talks about kindness and giving back and being with family.
Yes, and when Mark said that he wanted to write a children's book, something clicked, because after Noelle had passed away, she was 24 years old, a millennial. I started, I guess you could say, my grieving process. I really, really wanted to talk to other millennials to find out what they were thinking and feeling. And I talked to over 100 millennials to learn that they wanted the people around them to be open and inclusive and empathetic and understanding, and that they wanted people to be truthful, and they wanted to trust, and they needed more love. And really, it formed a model called FEEL. And basically, when you marry FEEL with a children's book, that's how the story really came together.
First, I have to offer my sympathies. It's incredible. I can't imagine losing my son or my daughter, and so my heart goes out to both of you. What a beautiful memorial for Noelle, this book, and sharing her life and sharing her lessons, sharing her passion. You mentioned speaking to all of these millennials. That's easy for me to say. It really does seem like this generation and the generation coming up after millennials, they're different in a lot of ways. Can you guys just talk about how you think that they're different than previous generations?
Oh, absolutely. I learned so much, and I shared everything with Mark. Millennials are extremely passionate about their causes, and they want everybody else to be just as passionate. So a lot of people will say that millennials are entitled, or millennials are lazy, or they're not diving into things. It's, from what I learned, millennials want the people around them to match their passion. And when you match the love and the passion and the energy, they give, and they give a lot. Millennials also are a generation of technology and disruption, and a lot of their communication is through social media, which there's good parts about social media and not so good. It's a big highlight reel out there, and everything always looks so perfect. So it's tough on millennials. Millennials also, a lot of the stories that they shared were around wanting to be able to trust, and also this kindness and empathy and understanding that most of the stories were in the workplace, where they're really looking for leaders to be more vulnerable. And when somebody can be vulnerable with them, then they can truly share how they feel. So what we witnessed, whether it was Noelle or any of our other children or the millennials that we spoke to, is that they really do care a lot. They are giving, and they want to help the world. They want this planet to be sustainable, and that's where their hearts are.
You know, I remember having a lot of those same feelings. I went into social work after college, and the message, the thing that I used to hear from not only the people who were older than me, but my peers were, will you grow up? Will you, just your head's in the clouds. What's wrong with? And I really kind of stood out, and I kind of felt alone. Like, all right, well, everybody's telling me this. Maybe I should listen to them. It seems like I would have had a lot more company had I grown up with millennials.
Absolutely. Dare to dream, right? And to do good in the world. Yes, you would have been in very good company.
Yeah. Mark, what's it been like for you? Because I'm imagining you didn't dream of writing children's books as you were growing up, or at any time in your life.
No, but so when I said let's write children's book, and I brought it to Deirdre really just took it, and like she mentioned, she had this FEEL model already, and that's where the first book really is coming from. But we have more books that we already have that we want to put out, and one of them it's really, again, like I said earlier, it's about the family. So the next one is called Grandpa Don't Worry. So that one we're almost ready to go in production with that one. And then the one after that is Daddy, Are You Listening? My daughter was so into mindfulness and being present. She used to always say to me, Dad, you need to be present. Like, get off your computer, things like that. So Noelle was always like that, and always, looking for ways to help people, and as well, even the family, keep us together.
You know what's funny, Jed, is that Noelle she tried to teach all of us how to meditate.
Yes.
And it stuck with me. And since she taught me, she used to do self-guided meditation with me. After she passed, I continued with the meditation, 45 minutes every morning. And when Mark said he wanted to write the children's book, and I knew that we both knew feel belongs in the home, I meditated for 45 minutes, grabbed my journal afterward, and this entire story, wrote it out. That's how we were born. So Noelle was a big part of this as well.
Yes. For sure.
Well, I'm imagining that, and I don't know what kind of religious beliefs you have, but I have very strong religious beliefs, and I am just picturing Noelle and her grandfather up in heaven, maybe sending you a mind voice message as you're writing this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They're whispers.
We think we've had whispers and what helped us write these books.
Yes.
You know what's interesting? I think that we're in this amazing time that is full of hope. It's also kind of full of contradictions in some ways. As you know, A Whisper from Noelle, one of the messages that you're sharing, which was something that you say was really important to Noelle, is this idea about being mindful and being present and putting down technology. And meanwhile, there is technology has such a pull on kids. And you were sharing with me, Noelle, before we started recording, that you were reading a study that says, we now have the attention span of a goldfish.
1 second less.
It's kind of tough to meditate when you have that little attention span.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been struggling. Like Deirdre, I'm still trying to meditate. But it's not that easy to step away from work and step away from what you're doing and take the time. But it's very helpful.
And also now with the pandemic, we're all on our computers more because we're having video calls and we're so reliant on the technology to help us function through the workday. So that makes it tougher. And what you said about kids and kids using technology, here's the thing. I've been reading a lot lately, and one of the books that I was reading was basically saying whatever kids are doing, it's because parents are doing. Mm-hmm. So we're the role models in the home, and we need to embrace this and accept this. So if we're using a lot of technology, our kids are getting cues and signals from us. It's time for us to carve out time. Parents, if you're a professional, you live and go by your calendar, whether it's a Google Calendar or you're using something through your work, you might have to really start carving out time on your calendar for reading, for quiet time, for walks in nature, whatever it takes, because you have to turn the exterior signals off so you can tune into your children who want to share feelings with you, and you can explore different topics this way.
Yeah, like Deirdre said, and you agree, is that a book is the best way. It brings you together, and the kids are so curious. They ask so many questions. We got such great feedback so far on the book, and the kids asking lots of questions about the angel and things like that. So we're very excited.
Yeah. You bring up a great point, that carving out time.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've said here on the show so much, there are parents, they're looking ahead. You mentioned that Noelle was a student at the College of New Jersey. One of the international students who called our home for a bit attended that college. I know it's a great school. I know parents of kids who are in kindergarten right now. They're so worried. How are we going to send our kids to school? I got to do the overtime. I got to have that big nest egg of money so we can afford the, however much it's going to be to send our kids to college 10, 12 years from now. But I'm telling you, and I think that both of you will agree, that 10, 15, 20 minutes that you spend each day reading with your kid, that is more valuable. You cannot earn money that is more valuable than that investment.
That's right. That time is absolutely precious. And I think children, parents, the more you do this with your children, you appreciate it, you learn more about them, they learn more about you. And just on the topic, Jed, you mentioned TCNJ. We actually, because Noelle loved that school so much, she was headed for a career in psychology, and we've partnered with the TCNJ psychology department. When Noelle was in college, she received an Outstanding Scholar Award for her research. They have since named this award the Noelle Skrabola Outstanding Research Scholar Award. And we are having all proceeds from this book go to that award, so other students can be funded for their research or their schooling or for their needs. And, I just wanted to give a shout out to the College of New Jersey because it was a wonderful experience having Noelle there.
Well, that's wonderful. And what a wonderful gift to, way to pay forward. I guess a way to pay back the universe for the gift that Noelle was to you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we want her legacy to continue, and we'll do it through this Outstanding Scholar Award.
Yeah. It's really wonderful. Mark, you're mentioning that, there's been great feedback. What's it like for you when you're hearing from these kids and families? Mr. Mark, I love your book. It's really cool.
Oh, it's just so touching. I mean, I like you said earlier, I can't believe that we've written a book, and now I'm getting the feedback, and it's just so touching and amazing, and it's really hard for me to put in words how amazing I feel right now, and just that's really pushed us to really start moving forward with more books to help kids, and to and what you do is so great to really bring families together and have them read as well. So we're just so happy to be engaged in now this community of authors and supporters of children's books, and working with families and knowing how important reading is.
Yeah, well, I just want to put this, Mark, I just want you to put this image in your head. For years and years to come, families are going to be coming together, snuggled up on the couch, reading your book. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is heartwarming. We still get teary-eyed.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's ever going to stop. I don't want it to stop. But when I look at the book or when I think about it, we get choked up, and it's always it warms our hearts when people share that. My child is going through a bit of a tough time. We just adopted her, and I'm going to share this book with her because I want her to be able to share her feelings with us. That just, that's the best.
Yeah. So very important, and such an important lesson for our kids to know. If they know that they can share their feelings with you, what a wonderful gift that is. And if they learn at an early age how to identify their feelings and learn to talk about their feelings instead of act out, there's so much of the trouble that kids find themselves in a lot of times is they have these feelings, they don't know what it is, and they're experiencing that sadness, that disappointment, and to them it feels like anger. and they act out, and it just ruins so many lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these topics, the story is a little bit different because normally parents, when you think about parents, they're teaching the values and what they want their children to learn so they can go off and take those values into their schools, and when they graduate, they'll take them into work, with a good foundation. And in this book, it really is Ashley Ann through Noelle sharing what really good values are about being truthful and trusting yourself and the love and the kindness and the compassion. So it's from an angel through a child's eyes.
Yeah, that's our theme.
Yeah. And the neat thing, and again, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, some of these conversations, and they're really difficult. You sit the kid down in front of you and you're here, okay, we're going to talk about our feelings today. That just doesn't work,
That does not work.
Definitely not.
I've tried that.
Exactly. And you know what? You just jogged something in my memory. Feelings are all around trust too, and there's trust in the safety of the home. And if you don't form that, then the millennials that I talked to, they really shared a lot about, even if this is a work scenario, but even one millennial said that she was given a project with her team, and basically they all had their respective parts, and they had a week to do it, come back to the table, and then present to the supervisor. And she had been working at this company for over 3 years. So she starts to work on her part, and she begins to get overwhelmed, and she's feeling anxious. So the third day in, she shared that she had a full-blown panic attack, and she didn't know what was going on. Her boyfriend didn't know what was going on. So he called 911. She ended up in the hospital for an entire weekend. And when she got home and she had to go into work and submit her part of the project, which completely was not done, and she said was subpar, that she would rather submit something that was so under what she could do, because she didn't want to tell anybody what had happened to her, because she thought it would not be met with caring and kindness and empathy. So it's almost like, you have to, the trust definitely has to be there in order to share, and that will start in the home, and you learn and you can develop that in scenarios with people around you.
That's really fascinating. It's a heartbreaking story.
Yeah, it was really sad. Some of the stories I heard were eye-opening, shocking, scary.
Yeah. Oh.
Learned a lot.
Wow. Well, I mentioned at the top of the show, Deirdre, that you are also the host of the Woman Worldwide podcast. Can you take a minute to tell us about that podcast?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Women Worldwide was an experiment. So it was something that I wanted to try because I believe as a professional, I'm in communications, and media is constantly changing. So I did my homework about podcasts to find out that there were only 13% of show hosts were women. This was back in end of 2013, 2014. And it was also at a time when women were being harassed and cyberbullied online. And I thought, women need a voice and a platform. They always need to know there's others out there who are experiencing similar challenges. They need motivation and inspiration. So that's how Women Worldwide was born. And I have these amazing professionals, not just women, sometimes men, come on the show too. They have really great advice. And they share their story. They talk about their journey, the highs, the lows. They motivate, and they also really give advice, because our listeners tend to DM me on Twitter. They send me emails. They share what's going on, and our guests are lined up to help them.
Wow, that's Really fascinating. And I'm assuming that the folks can find Women Worldwide wherever they find their podcasts?
Yeah, so wherever you find your podcast, whether it's Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and we did launch a YouTube channel. It's the Deirdre Breakenridge channel, but all of our shows are there because it's really fun to see the guest and myself. We're on video, and some people like to watch shows. Mm-hmm. More people like to download them and listen because podcasts are just so easy. You're in the car, you're cleaning your home, whatever you're doing, you can be listening. And we did reach, we had our 200th episode. I think now we're actually up to 290 something. So we're going strong.
That's awesome. And Mark, are we going to be launching the Men Worldwide podcast anytime soon?
No. I'm too busy working. I do IT for a living, so I'm on the phone all day. So that's not it. But the book is so I do a lot of work with the productions of the book. So I work with our illustrator. So I just want to give a shout out to Daniel Klein, who is our illustrator, who was phenomenal on the first book, and we're using him on the second book as well.
And the third.
Yeah. So, and it's amazing what an illustrator, how he brings what you write down into life. I just was amazed at that whole process. So that was a lot of fun for me.
And thank goodness for technology, because that's how we found Daniel. He's in Brazil. So we're very lucky to be able to coordinate through platforms and to share. And, we've never met him, although someday I hope.
Yes.
Well, actually, we'll see him on our virtual book launch party.
There you go.
He'll be there.
Well, I'm looking at the cover art for the Grandpa Don't Worry edition of the series, and it just heartwarming. It brings to mind that image that you told us about earlier on when Noelle and her grandfather fell asleep reading together.
Exactly. Yes. Thanks.
So cute.
And any authors that are listening out there, learn from this, because Mark gave a shout out to the illustrator. Not a lot of authors remember to do that. That's a real important thing. And I know the author appreciates it, and I think the listeners appreciate it too. I know my daughter, she's in the music industry. Anytime we go to a show together, when the mega star takes time to introduce the other players in the band, that she's all for them. She becomes an instant fan immediately.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, I was just going to say that, a story is a story, but it's truly the illustrator who brings everything to life, just captures the vision, the characters, the color, and we believe that Daniel was just sent to us.
Yes.
So.
Well, since you are the IT person on the team, Mark, tell everybody where they can find out more about A Whisper from Noelle.
Yeah, so we have, so I created a website. It's called awhisperfromnoelle.com. So everything on there, you can buy the book there. We have some videos on there. We have information about Daniel Klein, our illustrator, on there.
And TCNJ.
And TCNJ, yes, exactly. So we have, like Deirdre mentioned earlier, we have the connection with TCNJ. We also have information around the award. And the recipients were just named this year, so that'll be coming out shortly. So that's an awesome. So this is, again, the first year we're doing this. So these recipients will receive an award from the proceeds from the book. So we're very excited.
That's wonderful. Well, we've had a great time speaking to the authors of A Whisper from Noelle, a really heartwarming book that I think would be a great addition to any family library. And we've been speaking to Deirdre Breakenridge Skrabola and Mark Skrabola. Deirdre and Mark, I've had a wonderful time speaking with you tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jed. This was great.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guests will be father and son team, Matthew and Steve Murray. They'll be here to celebrate the screaming, hairy armadillo and 76 other animals with weird and wild names. That's the next episode of the podcast. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, want to thank Deirdre Breakenridge Skrabola and her husband, Mark Skrabola. Be sure to check out A Whisper From Noelle. Also want to thank our sponsor, Patrick Matthews. Be sure to check out Bradley's Dragon, a certified great read. Also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.